Hello, NFA Money Mamas. Welcome back for another week of the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we're doing a biz breakdown session. I know how much you love these because they bring so much gold. I'm always so appreciative of the women who choose to come on and share their business building journey with us, asking for tips and advice, and also sharing their tips and advice. And you're going to get a ton of value today because we have a kick-ass woman entrepreneur who has just broken through the six-figure mark. And this is a big deal. Woo, 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 Miranda. So we're going to talk about all things awesome on LinkedIn. Her business is actually called LinkedIn Awesomeness. So we have Miranda VonFricken on the show today, and we're going to have a really fun conversation, talk about what zone of manifestation she's in, and give her some tips. And she's also going to share some of her tips about how to scale to six figures. Welcome to the show today, Miranda.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, this is fun. So we met, most of you know that I love Instagram. So we met on Instagram. Interestingly, you'll like this, Miranda, because I just started reaching out to people on LinkedIn as well. And had some really good responses. I'm like, oh, I kind of left LinkedIn for a while and I'm back hanging out there more. So it's been fun to watch the difference there with, you know, different things that I put out and different responses on Instagram versus LinkedIn. So, you know, we'll dig into that as we go.
I love hearing it though.
Yeah, definitely. Let's start with this. If I could give you a magic wand, and I love that we're at the end of 2022, and actually when this episode, number 37, gets released, it will be 2023. So let's pretend I could give you a magic wand and you could create anything you want in 2023, and you're sitting on your couch at the end of 2023 going like, yes, I created this. What would that be?
So many things, but I'll keep focused, right? So in the end of 2023, I would like to be sitting on my couch with a fire roaring, and I can say to myself that I took the entire December off because I front stacked my awesomeness in the beginning of the year. And I was just so systematic and structured and just focused that I was able to hit my goals prior to the end of the year. So December can be a complete relaxation.
Love that. Dang, that's good because it aligns so many goals throughout the year, right? And it keeps you really focused and in action throughout the year. Okay, that's awesome. That's a fun one for us to look at. How long have you been in business?
So I had a side hustle. It's been up for about like 10 years, and then it's been the last 4 years. It's been full time. So okay. I was in corporate America doing a side hustle, speaking and coaching. And then after a position elimination, I took it full time.
Wow. Okay. So it was somewhat by choice, also by circumstances.
I think the universe helped me out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how that works because I hear that from so many people. I call it the curse of the comfort zone when you're pretty comfortable in your cush job and you're like, hey, I'm getting paid pretty well, yet it's not the freedom I want. And it's hard to take the leap when you're really comfortable.
And so you're going to laugh. So that not only is that true, but I was position eliminated 4 times in a row, 4 different organizations in a matter of 3 years. And I remember after the third one, I said, all right, God, I hear you. If this one doesn't work out, I'm going full time. And it was just fear that held me back, comfort zone, 401k, all that stuff, right? And then after 4 months at that last job, they sold the company, got rid of all the newbies. I was one of them. And I knew it was coming anyway, but it was nice to know that I had given it my all at the organization. And then it just wasn't meant for me. And I knew it anyway. I just wasn't listening, right? Yeah. So when the universe knocks, you don't answer, it will bust down the door.
It keeps knocking, but the knocks get louder and harder. I had on a mastermind the other day. It was so great. One of my women said, you know, that's like the universe hitting you with a 2x4.
Seriously.
And it does feel that way. And it really is when you're on. This is what's really cool actually about manifesting is that when you're on track in a direction that you say that you want to go and your subconscious is aligned, but you've got some fear going on, it might take you a little bit longer, but the universe will keep knocking you down to get you into alignment, which is the opposite when you're doing things that aren't aligned. You have a different experience, you know? And so I think when you go, oh, I'm ready for my business, but I'm a little scared to take the leap. sometimes big cataclysmic events will happen. And losing a job, it depends on how you look at it and how much savings you have and all those things. Like, it can be the greatest gift that you've ever received.
I didn't have any savings, but it was still a gift.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's because it shakes it up and it causes you to go, oh my God, okay, it's time. Go time. Let's do it. Okay. So that whole 10 years, were you working with LinkedIn?
So I actually used LinkedIn. I was in higher education. I was a career director. I used LinkedIn to connect my students to professionals in the area. So yeah, I was using it, but it was a totally different platform back then. It was a resume site. It was like a Rolodex, like almost like the white pages or something. So yeah, I used it though to still upload their resumes, to connect them to other leaders who just happened to be on the platform too. And then after that, I transitioned into a tech organization where I did a lot of talent acquisition. So I utilized LinkedIn for recruiting purposes and to create a brand for the company to magnetize them, essentially, to draw in more employees, potential employees. And from that point forward, I started actually creating my own personal brand. People were attracted to my energy on the platform, and it was different. Nobody was really doing anything like fun or taking photos of the organization and the culture and sharing their experience about the organization. And people would literally come to my page and see what we were doing that week. Because I was in HR, so we did a lot of cultural events and stuff. Although I was still trying to recruit, but I used the other side of what we were doing to draw them in on LinkedIn. And then LinkedIn came to visit me actually at my organization. They said, what are you doing over there? Your followers are growing very fast. And we started buying ads as the organization. And they wanted to see what I was up to. So it was pretty cool. They came, they visited, I got all the swag. And then from that point forward, I was like, all right, I'm going hard.
Yeah,
and then it became
LinkedIn's my jam.
Business. Yeah.
Wow, that's a cool story. I love that. So I'm curious, what did it take growth-wise for LinkedIn to notice you at that point?
I only had 4,000 followers at the time.
Okay.
It wasn't even a lot, but back then, so that was probably in 2017.
Okay.
Back then, it was like 4,000 was a decent number, right? 4,000 or 5,000 people. It's like, wow, that many people. I didn't. I was probably trying to recruit that many people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew some of them, of course, coworkers, stuff like that, but it was growing and they were just curious. And I was sharing like my experience on the platform too, which they really liked. And then content on the platform started getting more personal, and then it was just off to the races for me at that point. Yeah.
Well, your brand is so playful. I'm gonna, for everyone watching on YouTube, I'm just gonna pull up her website so you can see. Okay, so I'm gonna explain it to the people who are just listening on the podcast. On the top, it says The Inspired LinkedIn, The Inspired Hustle, The Inspired Mastermind, and it's pink with confetti, and it's just really, really playful and fun. And it says, "Yay, I'm so happy you're here. Take bold action, elevate your brand. If you're ready to reconnect for higher purpose and get inspired once again, then you're in the right place." And you can just see Miranda's personality shining through. I really love that. So good. So for anyone listening, if you go to MirandaVonFricken.com and check her out, and then also her LinkedIn handle is the same. It's for Miranda VonFricken. So that's Miranda and then Von, VON, Fricken, FRICKEN. So check her out. Really, really cool stuff. I want to ask, in terms of breaking through to six figures, was this a goal that you had created at the beginning of 2022?
So it was a goal the minute I set when I knew I wasn't going back to corporate. I made over six figures in corporate, and I wanted to get back that salary as quick as possible, right? So my husband didn't freak out. So we could pay our mortgage. I've got two kids in college. So I needed to get that back. Year one, I didn't do it. Of course, year one is like, half freaking out, half making money. But as time progressed, I would make more and more every year. And technically, so this is, I think, my third year full time. I kind of went quarter time because it was over the pandemic. So I was homeschooling my third grader at the time. Yeah. So there really was no full time. There was no other corporate job or any other salary coming in. So it was just my business for me. But this is actually the second full year of legit full time. Right. Okay. So, but full time to me, I'm still only working like 30 hours because I create my own schedule. I do what I want. And I don't want to work all the time. But yeah, so this was the first year I hit over six figures in it's obviously it's December 20th right now when we're recording, but I hit this in November, early November.
Nice.
So, and I didn't plan to take the month off. It was just like, oh, I probably could have done that. But so that's why it's my goal for next year.
Yeah.
But it was the first time I hit over 6 figures and I beat my salary. And I just think it's just finally like almost like legitimizes myself as a business owner that I can, pay myself what the big boys paid me.
Yeah, I'm curious how that feels. My audience knows I went from food stamps to 6 figures in my first year of business, and I killed myself to do it. Like that first year, I hustled, and it was really, I put the goal out there at the beginning of the year that I was going to do it, and I was far into the year and it was not looking like it was going to happen. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just kept trusting and doing what I was doing, and I ended up with a joint venture that brought me a whole bunch of one-on-one clients.
Nice.
And so it worked really well, and I worked hard. And so every year I've worked less and worked less and worked less. And I haven't increased my income my overall income much, but I've increased my payouts because I work less and make more. And so it's been an interesting journey of learning that process of working less. So I love that you said you reverse engineer and design from that place of going, hey, I work for myself. I'm going to work 30 hours a week, not 60. Were you working, when you were in corporate, were you working a lot of hours, or was it 40?
Not really, just like 40. It was human resources. So we were pretty much like, we'd like to make sure people weren't working crazy hours. And I was salaried. So, and I'm such a sass pants. Like if they were like, Kitty, work 5 extra hours, I'd be like, sure, but I'm going to take it off from next week or something. Like I'm just, I like my life better than I like working for somebody else.
Totally. Yeah. Have you found that when you're in your business, because you enjoy it, you want to work more? Do you notice that at all?
I do notice that. I'm definitely the one. We're going to Disney for the New Year's, and my husband's like, "Are you bringing your laptop?" I'm like, "That's a silly question. You know I am." Like,
yeah.
But there's definitely parts of my business I'll batch ahead of time, so I'm not going to work full time. I'll get up in the morning, do my morning routine. I have some events that I've already booked before we booked Disney, so I have to do those. And I host a monthly networking call, so I'm not going to skip that 1 month because, I'm near a palm tree, so I might
you're like, hey, I'm in an awesome, fabulous place doing this. Okay, well, will you give the layout? So I know, I want to ask a few things. One, in terms of that 6-figure goal, you said it a little bit. It's where you get to pay yourself the big boy salary, or we could even say the big girl salary, right?
Well, I always worked for men, so for me, it was a different mindset. It wasn't that women can't make 6 figures, because I did. It was just always like a male-run organization that was paying me, so that's why I say that.
Well, and I love that because I think it is important to highlight, there is a small percentage of the population of women who make 6 figures plus. And so I think it's really important. One of the things I love to highlight is like, hey, any woman who chooses to make 6 figures in her business can absolutely 100% do it. You and I are both a testament of that. And so, for you, when your goal for next year is to take all of December off, do you have revenue goals that are different, or is it more just time freedom goals?
Should I show you my Post-it?
I'd love it. I'd love to see it.
So it's not fancy. I work in Post-its. That's my systems. It's 1 million by 45. So I'm 42. So my thought was, if I doubled my income, and I don't even need it to be profit, just revenue. If I double the number I made this year to next year, it'll be 250, then 500, then 1 million. So that's kind of like what my goal is to double my income until I'm 45 or until I make the million.
Perfect.
And I'm just not sure how to do that. So that's why. Well,
and I'm going to say this first. You don't have to know exactly how, as long as you have the clarity. So, the 3-step NFA manifestation formula, number 1, you've got to decide with clarity and certainty what you want. Then you take steps in the direction, and then you let the universe bring you the ways. For example, when I went 6 figures in that first year, I had no clue how it was going to happen. I just knew it was possible. And I was like, I'm going to, do what I know how to do. I started a podcast, and I started putting myself out there on social media. I started going to networking events, and I just, was like, hey, I don't know. I see other people doing it, so I know it's possible. And so similar, of course, there's takes strategy and scaling. We know that too. Yet I bet it will surprise you how it happens.
I'm excited to see how it happens, because I know what's going to. I feel it in my bones. Like I was meant for this, so I absolutely know it's possible. I think there's some blocks that I'll need to kind of uncover and heal. And so I think right now I'm not trying to get to 1 million tomorrow, right? So I want to just double what I did. And even if I don't, but shooting for the double will get me closer.
Yeah.
Having a job in sales many years ago, I know that shooting for the stretch usually gets you for the regular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I want to dig into those blocks you were talking about. First, I want to highlight for everyone listening, I really appreciate your steady approach. You know, I want everyone to notice that Miranda has a very steady approach. 4 years, right? 4 years to get to 6 figures. And now the goal is to double. So she's very, she's strategic and balanced in her mindset, which is really important because what it indicates is that she doesn't have an infatuation with this, got to make money big and fast. And that's what creates a stable, long-term, scalable business. You know, when I hear people come in who are, let's say they're new and they're like, I want to go 6 figures in my first year, but they don't know anything about business and they aren't even started and they have a ton of fears. I'm like, okay, it's possible. I did it. Yet, like, you're gonna have to get into some serious action and have some rapid transformation, you know. And I go, I'm curious for those first 3 years you said, so really it's your first third full-time year, was your revenue close every year? And were you like, were you feeling freaked out about it? Or was it just more like, hey, I'm growing towards this and I'm okay when it happens?
I wasn't freaked out. I was very blessed that over the pandemic, my husband got recruited on LinkedIn for a different organization that almost like covered some of my salary. So I was able to take his increase and what I made, and it brought me to my 6 figures plus what he was making prior. So it worked out financially, and it also gave him kind of the deep breath to say, all right, let's see what she can do. You know, it's not that I needed his permission, but as a married couple with a family, you kind of need like buy-in from those who.
Yeah. Well, and you have bottom lines, like real bottom lines too.
And how we pay our bills, let's be honest. That's really what it was. And I'm not skipping Starbucks. So I needed to know that I was going to be there. But first year was like 40,000. Like, it was crazy. The second year was like closer to 70, 80. This year is over 100. So
nice.
So I'm kind of doubling it already, if you think about it. So I'm already in my head, like, it's doable. I already did it twice.
Yeah. I love it. It's awesome. I mean, to me, that sounds very aligned and like you're really on the right track. Share stuck points so I can help you out there. You know, you said you thought there were going to be some stuck points you needed to work through. What do you know that they are already?
So I am a do-it-myselfer, although it's hilarious. So I outsource a few things, like my website. Obviously, I have a website girl who I'm obsessed with. I've got my Instagram girl. I write my own content, but she'll repurpose it on Instagram and turn it into reels and video and all that stuff. So I do already, and I had a VA years ago. So I know what it's like when you partner with people you already feel aligned with to help you grow your business. But I think now I need somebody who works full-time for me. Like, I think I'm more than ready. It's maybe another VA, maybe a PA. I did tell you earlier, my first hire in my business, though, was my cleaning team. So I'm not afraid to ask for help or to go get the help or to invest in it. I think I get nervous with bringing somebody in to almost do what I'm already doing very well. And it's not about training them, but it's about, will they think the way I do? Will they catch what I catch? And I had a team in corporate, so I know it's a long journey to getting people where you want them, and I almost don't have time for it. So the stuck part is kind of getting over it. I'm not that cool. Bring somebody in who could just make it better, you know, like.
Yeah. So I think something that's important in delegation is for people to do the drop ad list. I don't know if you've done this before, but, you know, it's write down everything you've done in a week. Yeah. And then write down what you love to do, what you don't love to do. Obviously, the don't love to do are going to be the first things to drop, automate, delegate. Right. And then the things you love to do aren't the things, don't drop them, right? Like, if you love writing your own content, keep going, because that's what's being magnetic for your business. Yeah. Yet there are some things, the way I like to think about it is, if someone else can come in and do something up to 70 to 80% as well as you, and you can pay them a lot less than you would pay yourself, then it's a great delegation position.
That makes sense.
Right. Yeah. And so you want to be thinking, okay, if I brought someone in, you know, you said it makes you nervous to bring someone in. What I read in the subtext was, you're nervous to bring someone in because they won't do it as good as you do. And it takes a lot of time to train them. So some scarcity thinking there.
There is, and I've kind of gotten halfway through the fear of it, because my business half of a big leg of my business is creating and managing other organizations and people's LinkedIns. So they hire me for me, right? My energy, what I bring to the table, my knowledge. If I were to bring somebody else in, I mean, I know people have teams. Who cares, right? Like I'm sure my 2 girls have teams too that are helping them out, and it's not a big deal. I think I am a little stuck on, will it not be as good because it's not me? So what I kind of thought I would do is have this person I bring in work on my brand, my business, and I would continue to work on my clients. So
yeah. Okay. And so that's interesting. What streams of income do you have coming in?
Of all of them. No, I'm kidding. Probably more than I need, but I did cut it down a little bit though. So I manage 6 organizations, LinkedIn pages and presence. So there's 6 plus my own 2, my personal one and my company one. So that takes time. I'm a speaker and a workshop host and trainer. So I will go to conferences, organizations, different teams will hire me to train them on LinkedIn, how to use it, how to create sales, all that stuff. So training and speaking.
Okay.
And then I have a mastermind for female entrepreneurs. Masterminding was the first leg of my business when I started. I was a life coach and I did mastermind. So I feel like the masterminds are just where my heart's at. So I have that. And then I do one-on-one coaching and LinkedIn profile creation and optimization. So those are more one-offs because usually someone will come in and that can afford my services will tell me just to do it all until they become the page manager, and I will then create and optimize their pages and profiles anyway. So literally the 6-figure business is page management, LinkedIn page management. And then talks and workshops have potential to be the next 6-figure, and then coaching can be, close to that.
Yeah, well, and I want to think for you about where scalability is possible, where it's not you putting in more hours, because then it's like, I don't want you to have the mentality to double. I've got to double my time.
Right.
Obviously, that's not going to be a business you want to create.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So in that, because you're going to be the speaker trainer, you can't replace that. Similar with workshop and mastermind. So the places I see scalability, your mastermind growing is a great place. I don't know do you think you charge enough for your mastermind? Because sometimes people have stuck points there.
Yeah, I definitely don't. Only this one though, which is funny. So I used to charge more. This time around, I did a quick 10 women, $1,000, 3 months. Let's just bang till the end of the year kind of thing, right?
Okay.
And it worked. It was awesome. I think though, as I roll into the new year, because I'm enjoying it, I'll raise the prices. And for anyone else coming in, we'll get the new prices as well. So that's I know I need to raise. My one-on-ones I think are decent. LinkedIn management is decent. And I would like to make more speaking, but I know that comes in time. I've made as low as 2,500, as much as 10,000. So if I can get more of those 10,000 ones, then I'll be all set.
Yeah. Okay. And is there a way for you to just eliminate anything less than 5 or even anything less than 10? And that way you free up time, so it's a challenge yourself to go, I don't do speaking gigs for less than 10K anymore. And it creates in your mind that professionalism, and it also attracts the 10K people because you just go, hey, I don't do $2,500 gigs. Most people will come up and it will cause you to exude a different energy around it.
That's true. I said no to a few this year at the 2,500 or less mark, and it felt sassy, and I liked it.
Yeah.
I didn't like losing. It probably could have been 10 grand total, but it made space maybe for another LinkedIn page management, which is 20 grand at the end of the year, so
Yeah. Well, and think of it this way too. It takes just as much energy to get 1 speaking gig as it does to get 4. And you got to get 4, and the amount of time you put into 4 versus 1. And so you go, oh, okay, I'm just upping my price. Here's where we go with it, and see what happens, because that's going to free up a lot of your time. Are they generally, for those speaking gigs, what's the structure? Is it like a keynote or is it a workshop?
So I do both. So for the conferences, they're technically like keynotes, but really expressing how valuable LinkedIn is to their organization and what they can do with it. So they're taking notes, and I'll do a handout kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have done smaller groups, workshops, where they're actually changing out some of their profile. They're testing out some DM stuff. So I mostly do keynotes that happen to have a workshop component.
Yeah.
bigger because of the audience size is usually bigger.
Yeah.
The smaller ones I'll do like for sales teams or marketing and recruiting teams.
Okay.
They'll call me in to do something smaller.
Okay. And they're all in person or okay.
Or Zooms, but yeah, most of them are in person.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So if it were me, I'd be thinking about, okay, how can I create speaking that's 10K or more and then be shooting for a couple 25K gigs?
I'm down.
Yeah. Because it'll really boost your revenue, right?
Yes.
And then just go it's kind of like when you quit smoking. Have you read James Clear, Atomic Habits?
No, I'm reading it now. That's funny.
Oh, okay. I love it. Awesome. So he talks about identity transformation, and that's how you really change. So it's like when someone says to you and you're trying to quit smoking, like if they say, do you want a cigarette? You say, I'm trying to quit smoking versus they say to you, do you want to smoke? And you're like, no, I don't smoke. Right. So for you, it's the identity shift is, oh, I don't do gigs for $2,500. I charge 10,000 or more. And so just start shifting your identity to that and see what happens so that you can scale there, because that's one of the easiest approaches for you. You already have the knowledge to get the speaking gigs. You have the community, you have the network built, you have it sounds like all the even worksheets and program built. So then it's just up leveling your mindset around it and looking for gigs where you could create 10K to 25K of value.
Right. I think that's where, so when you just said looking for, all the stuff comes to me. Like
that's great.
I'm not trying to be sassy, although I am. I definitely create my visibility, my brand to magnetize people, and which is awesome. That's really what I train people to do. I don't go out seeking, and I think that may be where I need to change in 2023 is to go find the big.
Well, and here's how I want you to think about, because yes, that is what NFA money is all about, is magnetism, right? Like I just wrote a book called I'm a Money Magnet, and I teach law of attraction, money manifestation, and so magnetism is awesome. And you always want to be playing with client attraction and opportunity attraction, yet in ways you want to be thinking about how, when you're taking a step to start growing your speaker platform, you're just taking the step. You'll still magnetize the opportunities, but you're being more direct in your approach, and it creates different opportunities, especially if you go out at it with the intention of, I'm looking for $10,000 to $25,000 gigs, and you just set your intention and start doing it. I think you'll be shocked what happens very fast, because you are super magnetic.
Thanks, Kara.
Yes. That's awesome. So I would start there. I would focus on raising. Do you think it'd be possible to double your price of your mastermind?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So double there, charge more for speaking. Okay. This LinkedIn page management, I want to see. So you do that yourself?
I do. Yep.
Okay. So I would say that's definitely where you could use a team. Would it be possible to oversee a team? Because if you can't scale, if you're the only one doing it, you're not going to be able to scale doing more of those. And if those are a good income generator, you said it's around 20,000 per.
Yeah. So it's 4,500 a quarter. So it's 18,000 a year, but I also charge like an onboarding to do their profile and their page design and optimization.
Okay.
Essentially 20 grand for the year. And there is, so I don't want to scale to an agency. So there's definitely like, so it's at 6 figures, essentially that part of the business, right? So if I could just keep that steady and bring on someone to maybe create some of the content where I edit and tweak or give direction, I think that would work out okay.
Yeah. So what I would do there, and this goes for anyone listening, whenever you have like, let's say one project that's already going pretty well, but that you've been doing it all yourself, what you want to do, just like in time blocking, you want to write down every single thing you do for that project. So take one of your clients that has for the page management, write down every single aspect of that part of that project, and then start writing down where is possible to delegate. So just write a list next to it where it's like, it absolutely must be you versus it could be delegated out. And then ideally, even if you found someone, and this is what's interesting in delegation where people get scared, is even if you found someone who took half of the income from the project because they're so good at it, you still then have the opportunity to bring on more projects. Right. And it frees up a lot of your time. Now you have those projects running smoothly while you're getting 10 to 25K gigs because it's freeing up so much of your time. Now you see how that starts to get scalable. So you've always got to be thinking, where can I replace myself in a way that keeps my brand, you don't want to hurt your brand, of course, and your reputation. So you're hiring a kick-ass people who are in it for the long haul. And that's another important thing when you're delegating. You want to remember, I'm not just getting, and it doesn't sound like you are, it sounds like you have you're good at hiring the right people. Yeah, so pay attention to that, right? Do you feel like you're good at that?
Yeah. So it's funny. I typically will bring on people who, I think I want to bring on people who are like me, but I end up bringing on people who complement.
Okay.
More so.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually powerful.
Good. I need someone who doesn't want to be in the limelight like I do. Like I'm very like, I'm in the spotlight. But when I bring in others like that, they don't stay long because they go be awesome on their own. And I usually push them to go be awesome. Yeah. So I need someone who wants to be behind the scenes and to be a supporter. So that's
exactly. So I love that you said that because that is important. And especially, let's say I have people in startups sometimes hire, let's say interns or people who are building their resume. That's awesome for the short term and for lower cost, but you're right. Those people are learning from you so that they can go do their thing. Yeah. And so if you want someone long-term on your team, you want to ask values when you're hiring someone. You really want to know. And I always ask when I have people come on, like, check out my website. Why do you want to work with me? What do you like about it? Listen to some of my episodes, like show me why you'd be a good candidate for this. And I'm looking for exactly what you're talking about. I don't want someone who's coming in and like stealing all the NFA money stuff. And then, I mean, stealing, that's a strong word.
Yeah, I know.
Learning it all and then going and doing their thing. I love, like, those are my clients. That's not who I want to hire in my business. My clients are the people who I'm like, yeah, learn everything you can from me, take it and scale your business powerfully. The people I delegate to, I want them to be all about team NFA money and growing at team NFA money. Right. And so they're going to need to balance me out in the ways that I'm, let's say disorganized and chaotic because it's not in my zone of genius. It needs to be their zone of genius to do those things. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I like the Colby assessment, honestly. Yeah. And I'll probably do that with whoever gets like closer in the running. I think in January I'll put out a job description. I already have like a list of things I need them to do, so I know it's coming. Like it was the first time I made that list, there was something I had to do, like make a podcast sheet, and I didn't want to make a podcast sheet. It's been on my to-do list for months. Yeah. And even my website girl's like, I'll just do it for you. And I'm like, no, I'll do it.
Isn't that funny? Okay. Those are the things to delegate, right? Anything that you notice yourself hesitating on, procrastinating. On my calendar, I have events that are concrete in the calendar. Then I have tasks and reminders, and I'll notice the ones that keep getting moved to the end of the week. And I'm like, okay, these are the things I got to delegate. And I love to use that system that way to go, I'm not into doing this. I got to find someone to delegate this to because I am not doing it. Yeah. I don't enjoy it. And so it's not going to happen, which is going to cause kinks in your scalability. And so pay attention to those things for sure throughout the year. Yeah.
I was thinking too for scaling, because I don't want to be an agency, how can I make more of me? And my instinct was like, oh, I should do some online courses or like do the podcast to attract more people. And those are big projects for me. Like I'm already in the middle of writing a book that I said would be out in January, which I don't think it's going to be. Yeah. So I would love to put out like an evergreen online course just on like LinkedIn in general, because maybe people can't afford, $4,500, $5,000 for a LinkedIn. But they will pay, $400 to get my energy on camera and my worksheets, so that people, I used to buy courses all the time. So
I agree with you. And I look at like everything you have already going on. And I want you to keep in mind scalability. Yeah. If you're going to do something like that, then I would be looking at my revenue in each category for the year. And then I would look at what can I either drop or massively shift to spend time on that for this upcoming year. And once you get really good at delegating those, the LinkedIn page management, and it frees up some time, then work on coursework. But just be careful of scattering yourself too thin. I always tell, especially pre-six-figure entrepreneurs, I tell them, narrow your focus to expand your freedom. And I tell them they can only have one program to get to 6 figures, because you can get there in 1 year. I got there in 1 year because I did one program. That was it. Right. And it was like narrow focus, just sell this, just sell this. It was very clear. It was easy to do. I have no doubt you'll scale to $1 million. It just might take you longer if you have too many things going on.
That's true.
And you'll be spread really thin.
My thought was that it would make money while I'm doing other things, but I know you never think of the work that comes with it. So creating it, but the customer service, the collections or whatever, like all the little things that come after. I think you just reminded me of that.
What I would do if you are going to do it, I would say do a poll with your network first and see if you already have people who would be interested in buying it and at what level, to then decide, is this worth it at the beginning? Because here's the reality: to build and scale a course that sells to a level that's going to be worth it, you got to have a pretty big network. Or a way to run ads effectively to get people in, which means the nurture system needs to be good to get them to convert to buy it. So you got to think about all those things before you create it. Because I think a lot of people have that dream of like, I'm going to make money while I sleep with an online course. But you've got to have a lot of systems in place and a lot of traction and be really damn good at copy and have enough people to buy it. Then absolutely doable. It's just not the first way I would do it. And I would make sure you have a lot of delegation stuff going on before you add another thing to your business. Yeah.
Right.
So, and and I agree with you. Passive streams of income are important. I think if it were me in your position and with what you already have created, I would up the speaking first because it's the highest dollar, easiest payout. And then I would use that money to delegate some of the LinkedIn page management. And I would start to build up more of that, double my mastermind, build that in 2023. And then the following year, go like, okay, now how can I create a course over the course of the year, something along those lines, in the Zone of Manifestation roadmap. So for anyone listening, when you go back to episode number 3, it's the Zone of Manifestation business scaling roadmap. And there's 4 zones. The first is manic imposter zone. Miranda's definitely not there. That's typically startup phase when you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited and I have no clue what I'm doing. Number 2 is the over deliver and undercharge zone. This is where most people are stuck before they break through to 6 figures. Then we go into zone 3, the value yourself more zone. I definitely see you there. And big time in zone 4 as well, which is zone of manifestation. Zone of manifestation is where everything's flowing. You're charging what you're worth. You're hitting your revenue goals. Things are coming to you easily and it's really scalable. So I totally see you between those the 3 and 4. Just don't get stuck with the over delivering and undercharging part. Like a lot of people, I think as entrepreneurs, because we're creatives, we love to create and it's fun and it's exciting, especially to create something new. And then we go, oh crap, I have 7 things out there and I'm frazzled. Right. And so I could see you falling into that trap if you're not careful. So just stay focused, stay focused, stay focused. Always remember, in my book, one of the after mantras is narrow your focus to expand your freedom. So it's always, I narrow my focus to expand my freedom. How can you narrow your focus to expand your freedom? So if you are great at it this year, you get really good at delegating and you delegate stuff off your plate. And then you go like, now I've created time to create a course. Now I add the passive stream of income. I finish my book and I start focusing in that direction. Awesome. Just don't do it and unless you're, I would say, don't get yourself into a position where you're frazzled.
Yeah. I think delegate may need to be my word for the year.
Yes.
Fear.
Definitely. Delegate and up-level prices.
Yeah, definitely in the speaking and mastermind area. The mastermind was such a fluke. It normally isn't that cheap anyway. I took a break from masterminds for a while and I thought just to get 10 women quick. It was super easy. Just get them in, get the testimonials, and then sell the next time. I wasn't even sure I would do another one, but this one's going so well, and I'm really I forgot how much I loved it. So.
Here's a fun idea. I just came up with the idea for you. Okay, this is what you could do. You could double the price of the mastermind, get 20 women in there. Or is it you work with women or men and women?
Yeah, women.
Okay, so get 20 women in there, record it, get their permission, and then use that as the course.
Oh, yeah.
So that you have a double, and I've done that before too. Like I've recorded workshops and then do them as paid for DIY courses.
That's so true. So that's funny that you say that, because I just gave that advice to someone, like, just record your webinar. You're doing all these webinars. Why aren't you recording it and selling it for like $29?
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
So then structure it in your mind. Okay, I'm going to create this as a course. So before you create the next round of mastermind, think of it from that perspective. And then you have all the work done already and you're making money to create the course. And then you have an evergreen course.
Yeah. I love that. Who doesn't want to make money while they're
exactly. Make money while you're making money.
I do.
Yes. I love it. Okay. Awesome. This has been amazing. What's one key takeaway, one action step you're going to implement after our biz breakdown session today?
Just the one? Are you kidding? Okay. So I'm definitely going to now claim that I am a $10,000 speaker. So no more of the little chump change. So sorry to anybody who wanted to hire me before. Get your budget up. So I'm definitely going to do that. And then I'm going to start to figure out how to record like the masterminds and stuff like that, so I can turn those into something. Because if I keep obsessing over wanting residual or extra income while I sleep kind of thing, like it will take away my energy for other stuff. So I have to kind of check that box, even if it's something, you know, low tech, like just recording my webinars.
Yeah. Oh, I want you, I want you to implant this in your mind, and everyone here. Some of the best courses I've ever taken and created, exactly that. It's recorded, it's on Zoom, it's not high tech. People care about the information. They don't care about the high tech part of it. I mean, I've taken some courses where I have gotten so much of it, and literally it's just someone sitting at their desk. It's like decent lighting, exactly in the setting you're in right now. Great. Like you don't need to do anything more than that. It's more about the deliverables that they get and what they, you know, what you're, and you know this. And so just, I think that's a great way to go.
I often think that about my keynotes too. Like, I do a lot of LinkedIn personal branding and self-leadership. Those are my main keynotes, the 3 years I speak in. And every time I'm like, well, that should have just been recorded so I could turn that into a course, because you got the crowd, the audience, you know.
So, great. I'm glad you came up with that. So here's another thing you can do. Pay for a videographer to come to an event. Just get the permission of the people who are paying you to do the workshop. Have the videographer do the entire event. Turn that into a course.
Yep. I have a gentleman who's working on a speaker's reel for me too. I think that will help me to visually, outwardly be the 10K speaker. I'll put that on my website, and then I think that will elevate the proof, social proof that I am a 10K speaker. So, that's awesome. And then I'll go back and get testimonials from all of the people that you've done workshops with, and make sure you add that. And just have a speaker page, sizzle reel, 3 to 5 minutes. And then start promoting yourself in that way. And you can even have a VA who does the speaker outreach for you. I've got a ton of great resources if you're into that. I'll put a couple of resources. After this, I always give people who come on a spreadsheet with resources. So I'll put a few links to you for speaker organizations that you could reach out to and start, you know, doing the more interactive and direct strategy instead of just letting people come to you. Yes. Time to go out.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. Remind people where they can find you, because she is the LinkedIn master of awesomeness.
I am. So LinkedIn is where you're going to find me. I live there. I swear that's my address. So go to LinkedIn.com and just search Miranda VonFricken, or you can search LinkedIn Awesomeness. You'll get my company page, which will lead you to me. I'm also on Instagram at Miranda VonFricken, but LinkedIn is where you're going to want to play first.
Awesome. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. It was great. Really fun conversation. And I'm glad we came up with some fun ideas for scalability for you to at least double or more this year in 2023. Yeah. Awesome.
I'm here for that. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thanks for being here, everyone. I'll see you again next time. Don't forget, if you're into this conversation and you want to come on for a biz breakdown session, just go to thewomanentrepreneur.podcast.com and you'll see a link that says get your biz breakdown session. Click on it, enroll, have a similar conversation to the one we had today. You can see it's super easy, fun, flowing, brainstorming, and you get to promote your business to our audience, which we're now a top 5% global podcast. So you get lots of cool exposure. So come on the show. And until next time, I'm sending you big hugs and NFA money making high fives.